welcome to the 34th episode of Jazzology presented by Savage Content. I'm your host, Willard Jenkins. We're here alternating Fridays, giving two jazz fans the opportunity to compete against each other for a chance to win $100. Each contestant will be asked a question worth 2 points. If they are unable to answer correctly, their opponent will have a chance to steal the question for 1 point. We will ask 10 questions, and at the end of the 10 questions, the person with the lowest score will get a bonus question for the opportunity to tie the score. If they're successful, the game will go to sudden death. The person in the lead at the end of regulation will go first, and each contestant will take turns trying to answer the sudden death multiple choice question until we have a winner. And now let's meet this week's contestants. Our reigning Jazzology champion is Nathan Holaway, who is based in Lakewood, Ohio. Nathan is a teacher, saxophonist, and freelance jazz musician. He is the artistic director for the Northern Ohio Youth Orchestra's Vanguard Jazz Combo, and he runs his own Dr. Jazz podcast, which has produced over 200 episodes. So, Nathan, how did you go about acquiring your vast knowledge of jazz trivia?
Honestly, just searching deeper and deeper. You know what I mean? It's always that thing where if you like a song, if you like an artist, if it's not an original tune, well, who performed the original tune? And then go check that out. And then did they cover it from someone else? And then go check that one out. So it's always taking a step back and a step back and another step back and seeing who influenced other artists that you really admire and love, and just keeping everything interesting, keeping the rabbit hole, enticing. So, yeah.
All right. Well, you've got a stiff challenger coming up today. Our challenger for this 34th episode of Jazzology is jazz impresario, club owner, and all-around jazz preacher, Todd Barkan, who is widely known for his original Keystone Corner Jazz Club in the San Francisco Bay Area, and who now operates the beautiful Keystone Corner, Baltimore. Todd was the 2018 recipient of the A.B. Spellman NEA Jazz Masters Fellowship for Jazz Advocacy. Todd, what keeps you excited about jazz?
Well, it's because the longer I'm involved in it, the more I really enjoy, the more this music resonates. This music is an inexhaustible joy to those of us who are really in it and really take the greatest joy out of it. I mean, it's a privilege and an honor to be involved in the presentation of it. And I'm a musician myself, so I come from that standpoint, and also as a presenter. Since 1964, I've been presenting the best music that I could possibly present. So, I mean, I feel very fortunate in all regards in terms of being able to present the music, as challenging as that can be. But I think my knowledge of music has come mainly out of the process of presenting it and playing it. That's been a real major source. And I am curious, like Nathan is, about sources of music. I have an endless curiosity. When did these rhythm changes start playing? When did this song? Who first created this song, and how has it evolved over time? Wikipedia is one of my central bibles of activity. I mean, we can't live without Wikipedia, and I actually don't. That's my major donation in life, is to Wikipedia, because I really appreciate what they and Lord knows I haven't updated my Wikipedia page in about 35 years, but I hope to do it soon.
All right.
But that's my source is love, and I come by it naturally because this music means the world to me. So I try to know as much as I can about it.
Well, let's get to today's Jazzology questions, why don't we?
Okay.
And as our reigning champion, Nathan Holaway goes first.
Yes, sir.
You ready, Nathan?
As ready as I can be.
All right, Nathan, the anti-lynching civil rights song Strange Fruit evolved from a poem written by a man named Abel Maripol. Where was the song Strange Fruit first introduced to Billie Holiday? Was it A, Columbia Records Studio, B, Pods and Jerry's, C, Cafe Society, D, Showman's Jazz Club, or E, the Cotton Club?
Well, this is a very most poignant piece of music associated with Lady Day. And you want to talk about shock value. This is one of the things that jazz has. You know, it's not just rock and roll, right? So this is way before that. But it's shock value for plenty of good reason. And Lady Day felt that, the words to that song very, very deeply. And I'm trying to think where this was, because the question was, where was the poem introduced to Billie Holiday, correct?
The song evolved from a poem, and the song was introduced to Billie Holiday at one of these places.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I want to say out of all of these, I would have to say, I'm trying to go back in my memories on this, but I believe it's C, the Cafe Society.
That is correct. Strange Fruit was first introduced to Billie Holiday, aka Lady Day, at Cafe Society. And just for those who weren't familiar, letter B, Pods and Jerry's, that was a joint in Harlem that Billie Holiday frequently worked as a very young, aspiring singer. So Nathan gets those points. Todd, you ready for your first shot?
I'm ready as I'll ever be.
All right, Todd. Oliver Nelson's classic tune, Stolen Moments, originally appeared on his 1961 album, The Blues and the Abstract Truth. Name the bass player on that recording, in that recording band that included Eric Dolphy on reeds, Bill Evans on piano, Roy Haynes on drums, and Freddie Hubbard on trumpet. Was the bassist A, Milt Hinton, B, Ron Carter, C, Paul Chambers, D, Reggie Workman, or E, George Duvivier?
Number C, Paul Chambers.
Paul Chambers. You are absolutely correct. All right. Nathan, which of the following jazz musicians is a native of Puerto Rico? Is it A, saxophonist Miguel Zenon, B, bassist Eddie Gomez, C, saxophonist David Sanchez, D, trombonist William Cepeda, or E, all of the above?
Well, these are some awesome musicians. I'm just going to mention a few of these. Like, I love Miguel's work with the SF Jazz Group and with the later iterations of the Charlie Hayden Liberation Music Orchestra. That was some really cool stuff. David Sanchez is just, he's got so many chops. So great. And the same can be said about William Cepeda. Of course, Eddie Gomez is in a class all by himself. The work he did with Bill Evans for years, the work that Eddie did with Chick Corea and the Three Quartets Band. Not to mention Steps Ahead with Mike Manieri and Mike Brecker and Peter Erskine and Eliane Elias and all that. But I believe the answer is E, all of the above.
That's correct. And gentlemen, we're batting 1,000 so far. Todd, you're up next.
Yes, sir.
Todd, NEA Jazz Master saxophonist Kenny Garrett's tribute album, Pursuance, the music of John Coltrane. Included in the band personnel, Pat Metheny on guitar, Rodney Whitaker on bass, and who played the drums on that album? Would that have been A, Ralph Peterson, B, Brian Blade, C, Ronald Bruner, or D, Jeff Tane Watts, or E, none of the above?
Well, this one I'm guessing on because I can't remember exactly who played drums on that. But they're all. My thought process is that Ronald Bruner is here this week playing with Kenny Garrett at the Keystone Corner Ballroom, which and actually I had to go. He forgot his credit card in L.A. and I had to go take my credit card over to the hotel so he could check into the Hyatt so he can play today. So that name rings a bell. And Tane is always a wonderful job. I'm going to guess C, Ronald Bruner.
Ronald Bruner? That is incorrect. And Nathan with a chance to steal the point. And I'll repeat the question. National Endowment for the Arts jazz master saxophonist Kenny Garrett, who, as Todd suggested, is at the Keystone Corner all weekend performing with his band. Kenny Garrett's tribute album, Pursuance, the music of John Coltrane. Included in the personnel, Pat Metheny on guitar, Rodney Whitaker on bass, and who played the drums on that album? Was it A, Ralph Peterson, B, Brian Blade, and C, Ronald Bruner has been ruled out, D, Jeff Tane Watts, or E, none of the above?
Well, I can honestly say that this album is one of the albums, being a saxophonist, that I spun over and over and over and over and over again, and loved every minute, from the blistering solo by Pat Metheny on Lonnie's Lament to the break that Kenny Garrett does on Liberia to the complete renovation to Giant Steps on that album. So I happen to know that the answer out of all these fantastic drummers is B, Brian Blade.
That is correct. Brian Blade was the drummer on Kenny Garrett's tribute album, Pursuance, the music of John Coltrane. And I just want to repeat that what I said earlier. Kenny Garrett's band is playing at the Keystone Corner, Baltimore this weekend. Nathan.
Yes, sir.
Trumpeter Ingrid Jensen is a native of what Canadian city? Would that be A, Vancouver, B, Toronto, C, Quebec City, D, Nanaimo, or E, North Vancouver?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I do really like Ingrid's playing and everything that she has brought to jazz, from the Artemis group to her own records. She's phenomenal. And I knew that she was Canadian, but that's about where my quarter ran out, if I'm being completely honest. And these are all great Canadian cities. I'm not going to give you a history on each one of these Canadian cities, but we'll leave that to PBS, Rick Steves and all that. So if I'm just going to completely guess, I'm going to say C, Quebec City.
That's incorrect. And Todd Barkan with a chance to steal the point. Todd, trumpeter Ingrid Jensen is a native of what Canadian city? Is it A, Vancouver, B, Toronto, C, Quebec City has been ruled out, D, Nanaimo, E, Vancouver or North Vancouver?
Well, I'm guessing as much as my colleague is. I mean, I know she's from Canada. I'm going to guess Toronto, number B.
No, gentlemen. Ingrid Jensen is a native of North Vancouver. She's a native of North Vancouver, and she actually grew up in Nanaimo, as did Diana Krall. But she's a native of North Vancouver.
We're learning. We're learning.
Jazzology is brought to you by Savage Content. Savage Content is building music, art, and creative content for the soul, spirit, and empowerment. This week's spotlight is on a special lady that quite literally grew up in jazz. She is a singer, composer, educator, and Sirius XM radio host. Her name is Andromeda Toure. She is the daughter of two acclaimed jazz performers, trombonist Steve Toure and cellist Akua Dixon. You know what else? Andromeda has also been a past contestant right here on the Jazzology Trivia Show. In fact, she was also a winner of our How Did I Fall in Love with Jazz contests. Andromeda Toure's performance of Being Good Isn't Good Enough, which is a song taken from the Tony Award-winning Broadway musical Hallelujah Baby, was just released on the Savage Content YouTube page. Here, Andromeda shares the stage with John DiMartino on piano, India Owens on bass, and her brother Orion Toure on the drums. Visit youtube.com/@savagecontent now to watch the performance recorded live at the Cutting Room, New York City, featuring Andromeda Toure. Our Jazzology new record of the week is from the women's collective known as Artemis. The album is titled In Real Time. It's their second release on the Blue Note label. And Artemis includes such stellar players as the woman we just talked about, trumpeter Ingrid Jensen. Also, Alexa Tarantino and Nicole Glover on saxophones, bassist Noriko Ueda, and the very resourceful drummer Allison Miller. You jazz travelers can catch Artemis at the North Sea Jazz Festival on Sunday, July 9th. And Artemis' latest recording is on the Blue Note label. It's called In Real Time. And now it's time to ask our favorite question. Todd, how did you fall in love with jazz?
My parents had, at the real beginning, they had actually some Errol Garner record called Dream Street and another record called Frank Sinatra record that I don't remember the title of. But ironically, it was Frank Sinatra, Duke Ellington, and Errol Garner. And I met Rahsaan Roland Kirk on the bus going to a Jets game, Columbus Jets game. And I met him on the bus. And it turned out we lived about 2 or 3 blocks from one another. And he started giving me some listening sessions with him, listening to the music. So I fell in love with the music being around the house, early piano lessons, and meeting Rahsaan Roland Kirk.
All right, bright moments.
Bright moments.
Yes. Nathan.
Yes, sir.
What are you listening to these days?
Oh, it changes from week to week. But strangely enough, I was just listening to Bright Moments the other day. So Bright Moments to everybody. There you go. I've also been checking out Cedar Walton's Eastern Rebellion group. That's a really awesome group. I've been checking out Sonny Rollins and Larry Coryell together on the album Don't Ask. Of course, in homage to Peter Broadsman, I've been listening to Last Exit Iron Path record with Sonny Sherrick with him. And John Zorn also dropped his most recent box set of bagatelles, and number 13 through disc 16, that features Christian McBride, as well as Chess Smith, John Arabagon, Chris Speed, and Sam Eastman, and Ben Goldberg, and Peter Evans as well. So it's been a busy week of listening.
So you got some good listening going on there, Nathan.
Absolutely.
Well, Todd, Todd, you ready for your next question?
Ready as I'll ever be.
All right. Kurt Elling's 2009 album, Dedicated to You, was inspired by whom? Was it A, Mark Murphy, B, Tony Bennett and Woody Herman, C, John Coltrane and Johnny Hartman, D, John Hendricks, E, Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross?
And what was the year of the recording?
The year of the recording is 2009. It's called Dedicated to You.
Right. Okay. Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, I would have to go with C, John Coltrane and Johnny Hartman.
That is correct. Kurt Elling's album, Dedicated to You, was indeed inspired by the sterling example of John Coltrane and Johnny Hartman. And we have a close score. It's Nathan 5 and Todd 4. All right, Nathan.
Yes, sir.
The Association for the Advancement of Creative Musicians, also known as the AACM for short, was founded in 1965 by pianists Muhal Richard Abrams and Jody Christian, composer Phil Coran, and which of the following musicians? Would that have been A, Roscoe Mitchell, B, Anthony Braxton, C, George Lewis, D, Steve McCall, or E, Henry Threadgill?
Man, yeah. This is yeah. I mean, all of these names are very much swirling together in my brain. I know that the big name is Muhal Richard Abrams. Like, that is the guy, when it comes to the AACM. And I love his music. In fact, I love a lot of these cats. Roscoe Mitchell's album, Sound, is a fantastic album. So much of Braxton's stuff, especially with like the first Actuel album with Aaliyah Smith. Of course, George Lewis is the guy who literally wrote the book on it, with a power stronger than itself.
Yes, he did.
And that is a fantastic, thick read, but it's great. Steve McCall, Henry Threadgill, both members of Air. Ooh, kind of bebopping between two names. So, I mean, my guess is literally going to be the guy who wrote the book, which would be C, George Lewis.
That is incorrect. Todd with an opportunity to steal the point. The Association for the Advancement of Creative Musicians, also known as the AACM, was founded in 1965 by pianists Muhal Richard Abrams and Jody Christian, composer Phil Coran, and which of the following musicians? Is it A, Roscoe Mitchell, B, Anthony Braxton, C, George Lewis has been ruled out, D, Steve McCall, or E, Henry Threadgill?
Well, I feel like I'm in the same position as my colleague. I mean, I'm guessing because all of them, to me, I've worked with every single one of these people, and they all have an AACM connection. They're all, especially a couple of them are three of them are deep in the AACM combine. So I got to decide which is the founder. That's
now co-founder, yes.
Co-founder. That gets in deep in the history. Co-founder. I'd have to go with A, Roscoe Mitchell. Okay.
The correct answer to that question is D, Steve McCall. Steve McCall was a co-founder of the AACM along with Moore, Richard Abrams, and Jody Christian and Phil Coran.
Okay.
So our score remains 5-4. And Todd, you're up next.
Okay.
Ornette Coleman made a record called Sound Museum in 1996 that significantly included Jerry Allen on piano. And I say significantly because Ornette didn't always work with a piano player. It included Jerry Allen on piano, Donardo Coleman, Ornette's son, on the drums, and who was the bassist? Was it A, Jamaluddin Tecuma, B, Charnett Moffett, C, Al McDowell, D, Charlie Hayden, or E, none of the above?
My guess would be D, Charlie Hayden.
That's incorrect. And Nathan with an opportunity to steal the point. The question is, Ornette Coleman made a record called Sound Museum in 1996 that included Jerry Allen on piano, Donardo Coleman on drums, and who was the bass player? Was it A, Jamaluddin Tecuma, B, Charnett Moffett, C, Al McDowell, D, Charlie Hayden has been ruled out, or E, none of the above?
Yeah, I'm trying to go back and remember this album. I think this is the one with the orange cover. There was one with a blue cover and one with an orange cover. And I think this is the one with the orange cover. Because there was two almost back-to-back in sequence.
Yeah, they were.
And I love Ornette, by the way. I was lucky enough to meet Ornette, and he was one of the kindest human beings I've ever met. And he gave me a great history lesson about the time that him and Ellis Marsalis and Alvin Batiste were all in a band together before they went their separate ways in the 50s. And I don't know. I just love that guy. I know that Jamaluddin was part of the Primetime Band.
Yes, he was.
And so if Jerry was on piano and not keyboards, but piano, then I would think that A would be eliminated because Jamaluddin plays electric bass. So with that information, based on that, I'm going to go with B, Charnett Moffett.
That is correct. The bassist on that album was Charnett Moffett. And his father had actually played with Ornette Coleman on the drums.
Yeah. Charles Moffett.
Yes, sir. Nathan, you're up next.
Yes, sir.
We're back to the AACM. AACM flutist Nicole Mitchell has taught at the University of California, Irvine, the University of Pittsburgh, and currently teaches at which of the following schools? Is it A, Oberlin Conservatory, B, Berklee College of Music, C, Stanford University, D, UCLA, or E, University of Virginia?
Oh, these are all great schools. I know that. Man. And Nicole Mitchell is an outstanding flautist.
Is that flutist or flautist?
Flutist, flautist, potato. Let's call the whole thing off. You know. This is truly just. I knew about Pittsburgh, but this is the one that's kind of throwing me. I'm just going to have to go with my gut, right or wrong, and I would say B, the Berklee College of Music.
That's incorrect. And now Todd with an opportunity to steal the point. Todd, the AACM flutist Nicole Mitchell has taught at the University of California, Irvine, the University of Pittsburgh, and currently teaches at which of the following schools? Would that be A, Oberlin Conservatory, B, Berklee College of Music, C, Stanford University, D, UCLA, or E, the University of Virginia?
Again, this is the area of wild guessing. I'm chasing the wild guessing birds. Well, my alma mater is Oberlin. It's not Berkeley. That's been ruled out. Stanford, UCLA. Well, I would have to, guess. My first guess would be UCLA, D.
That is incorrect. Nicole Mitchell, who was at the University of Pittsburgh, left to take a professorship at E, the University of Virginia. All right, Todd, you're up next.
Okay, let's go get him, Todd.
The bassist, the young bassist, Linda Mahon O, who grew up in Australia, has worked with which of the following band leaders? Would that be A, Wayne Shorter, B, Herbie Hancock, C, Chick Corea, D, Pat Metheny, or E, Charles Lloyd?
Well, I'm lucky on this one because this great lady bassist worked at Keystone Corner, Baltimore with number D, Pat Metheny.
Ah, there you go. That is correct. So the score is tied. And what that means, it's time for the bonus round. And there is no trailer. So since Todd went previously, it'll be Nathan's turn up.
Okay.
Nathan?
Yes, sir.
The 2022 book, Saxophone Colossus, The Life and Music of Sonny Rollins, was written by which of the following writers? Would that have been A, Quincy Troupe, B, Stanley Crouch, C, John Murph, D, Bob Blumenthal, or E, Aidan Levy?
Well, this is a who's who of writers, and I know you like to bring out the writers when it comes to the doozy questions. And of course, Quincy is as the wonderful work with Miles. Stanley Crouch wrote about the Kansas City Lightning and wonderful Charles Christopher Parker Jr. But I happen to be a huge, huge, huge Sonny Rollins fan. And the only thing that's better than being a huge Sonny Rollins fan is having a huge, huge Sonny Rollins biography to go with it, written by the fantastic Aidan Levy. E.
That is correct. And Nathan is our winner. We just can't seem to knock Nathan off the perch. Congratulations to Nathan Holaway on your win.
I give you one bonus story here.
All right, go ahead.
Sonny Rollins, it isn't in the Sonny Rollins book, but it's going to be in my book. about Sonny Rollins. I'm finishing a book myself, and Sonny Rollins played at the original Keystone Corner in 1972 in November, when we'd just gotten open in July. And at that time we were charging $3 during the week and $3.50 on the weekend. And this particular week we raised the ticket price all the way up to $4. It was $4 to get in. You had to buy $1 beer. So it's $5. You were in. You could stay all night. $5, 2 sets a night. So Sonny came in, and he was smoking something that wasn't real tobacco, and he started the first set. We started our sets. It was a real nightclub. 9:30, 11:30, and 1 were our show times. So this was a 9:30 show. The band was Jack DeJohnette, the great Bob Cranshaw, a Masuo guitar player. And they played the first set on Tuesday night, and it was exactly 29 minutes long. So I asked, after the set, Sonny came back in my office, and he was looking a little lost. And I said, Sonny, that set was only 29 minutes long. Meanwhile, the audience was just out there. They were cool. They were ordering another beer or talking to one another. The band didn't know what was going on. They thought Sonny was fixing his reeds. And all of a sudden, I asked Sonny, well, I think that last set might have been a little short, Sonny. People don't quite know what to make of it. Usually our sets are anywhere from 70 minutes to 90 minutes long, and that was about 29 minutes long. And without missing a beat, Sonny said, well, I don't think we'll call them sets. I think we'll call them episodes. So I got out my trusty Marks-a-Lot, which was the Sharpie of the day. They were black markers, although Marks-a-Lot, and my Keystone Corner stationery, which was quite priceless, with some hippie hieroglyphics on it. And I wrote continuous music from 9:30 till 2. And he did 4 episodes that night.
So he gave you an extra episode.
Yeah, he gave us an extra episode. Well, that's my contribution to the Sonny Rollins lore there.
Congratulations to Nathan Holaway.
Yes.
And many thanks to Todd Barkan. We encourage each and every one of you to try your hand and play Jazzology. And if anyone watching would like to become a contestant on Jazzology, click the link below and simply fill out the form. You must be 18 years old or older, and be sure to follow us on social media at Jazzology Trivia Show to get all the latest news and updates. Thanks so much to Nathan Holaway, to Todd Barkan, NEA Jazz Master Todd Barkan. And by the way, again, you can catch a lot of great music at the Keystone Corner in Baltimore, so go online and check that out.
Yeah, and there's streams too, so you can, anywhere in the world, you can watch what we're doing at Keystone Corner. And
to everyone who joined us for our 34th episode of Jazzology today, thank you so much. And remember, you can check out Jazzology every other Friday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you miss the show live, you can find the archive on the Savage Content YouTube channel. Take care, everybody.
Bright moments.
Bright moments.